Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you. I'm sorry, we're getting some noise here. Hello. We'll start again, please, for the tape. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the Zoning Board of Appeals for Wednesday, November the 3rd, 2021. It is 6:08, and pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of the 2021, this meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals will be conducted via remote participation. An audio recording of these proceedings will be available upon request at planning@somervillema.gov. Let me say that again. It's planning@somervillema.gov. First off, I'd like for everybody to introduce themselves this evening for the public who's listening in. My name is Ursula Susan Fontano, and I am your chair.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, I'd like to state for the record that Elaine, your computer is getting a lot of feedback. So if you could mute yourself while you're not talking, that would be really helpful.
I am only catching every other word, so I don't know what you said.
Charlotte, may I chime in? We couldn't understand you either. I don't believe
Great.
Josh or Catherine could.
Okay, so Elaine, I'm about to unmute you, but your computer is causing a lot of feedback that causes the issue with us not being able to hear each other. So I'm gonna unmute you so that you can speak at any time. But if you could mute yourself while you aren't speaking, that will help everyone be able to hear everyone else.
Would earphones help?
Yes, earphones would help.
I will try my earphones.
Okay, great. Sorry, Madam Chair, continue.
No problem. I think her volume should be toned down a little bit as well.
We will give her a moment to grab headphones and then unmute her again.
Is that any better? I have my earphones in.
Yes,
Excellent.
that is much better.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
excellent.
Madam Chair, back to you.
Okay. Ms. Charlotte, may I please continue, or do you want me to reopen?
Nope, you can continue. If we can just have all of the board members state their name for the record, that would be ideal.
Okay. Next would be clerk, please.
Josh Safdie.
Catherine Garavaglia.
Next. Thank you.
Elaine
Is there any
Severino.
staff joining? Thank you, Elaine. I'm sorry I spoke over Elaine Severino. And would you like us to go forward, or we're going to introduce some staff that's with us tonight?
That is up to you, Madam Chair. My name is Charlotte Lease for the record. I am a planner in the Planning, Preservation, and Zoning Division, and I will just briefly introduce the other two people we have. We have Sarah White, also from the Planning, Preservation, and Zoning Division, and Raisa Saniat, also from the Planning, Preservation, and Zoning Division.
Thank you, and welcome to everyone. Tonight, under general business, we have approval of minutes from September 22nd, 2021. May I have a motion, please, from the clerk?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of September 22nd, 2021 as submitted.
Second.
May I have a second? Seconded by Elaine Severino. Mr. Safdie,
Aye.
Catherine Garavaglia,
Aye.
Elaine Severino,
Aye.
and Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show it was unanimous. All four members in attendance tonight approved the minutes of September 22nd, 2021. Next on our agenda is under the public hearings, 120 to 132 Middlesex Avenue. I believe this is a new case tonight. Are you out there, folks?
Madam Chair, this is Charlotte speaking. I am unmuting Darren Baird, Mark Johnson, and any other members of the applicant team who wish to be able to speak. Please just let me know and I will unmute you as well. You can let me know by clicking the raise hand button. That'll show up on my screen.
Okay, and I'd like the clerk to open this case, please.
Madam Chair, this is 120 to 132 Middlesex Avenue, case number P&Z 21-146. DWCH Assembly Row LLC seeks to extend the validity of a previously approved hardship variance.
Thank you, Mr. Safdie. Good evening, folks. Welcome.
Good evening.
Thank you. Madam Chair, this is Mark Johnson. May I be recognized to speak for this case?
You know, who's ever speaking, it's really muffled. Can you do your best on your end to see what you can do to improve that?
Is that better?
Yes, a little better. Thank you so much. And what was your name again, please?
Great. Mark Johnson. I'm with the
Okay, Mark.
petitioner Divco West.
Beautiful. And you want to make the presentation?
Yes, if I could make a brief statement, please, and then we'll leave time for
Absolutely.
questions.
Certainly. Go ahead, please.
Great. As I said, my name is Mark Johnson, and I am Director of Development for Divco West. And online with me this evening are Christos Kouliopoulos, representing Capitol Hall and Chems Development Team, Jackson Hunter and Chase Parisi of Divco West, and Darren Baird, our attorney with Goulston and Stores. And we're here tonight to request that the Zoning Board of Appeal approval of a technical fix to a hardship variance that the board granted in November of 2020. Specifically, at that time, the board approved a 2-year variance related to the civic space requirement, which would extend until November of 2022. As you're aware, following the issuance of the hardship variance and the project's master plan special permit, the developer entered into a development covenant with the city, which provides for, among other things, a one-time payment into the Open Space Acquisition and Improvement Stabilization Fund, which will be payable at the time a full building permit is issued for the project. After reviewing the City of Somerville zoning ordinance and discussing it with our lawyer, we understand that the variance needs to be renewed in order to be valid for the full 2-year period that was previously approved by the board. So tonight we're asking that the board approve a renewal of the previously approved variance, extending the term 6 months until May of 2022. At the appropriate time, we'll return to the board to extend the variance for the full 2-year period originally approved by the board. So thank you, and I'm pleased to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone from the public here to speak for or against, or has any questions at all regarding 120 to 132 Middlesex Ave? If so, please let our liaison and planner, Charlotte, know.
For any members of the public wishing to make public comment on this case, if you raise your hand, that will let me know that you wish to speak, and I can unmute you so that you can speak to the board. I will give it a couple more seconds. Madam Chair, I'm not seeing anyone indicating that they wish to speak on this case.
Great, thank you so much. In that fashion, I will close the public portion of this case. It's Middlesex Ave P&Z 21-146, and open it to the board for their questions. Anybody have any comments they'd like to say? Seeing and hearing none. Elaine Severino, any comment on this case?
I just, on the staff memo on page 2, I had just seen that the hardship variance is effective from November 18th, 2020 to November 18th, 2022. So I was curious as to why the lawyer, I believe it's Darren, or felt that we needed to renew this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is Darren Barrett at Goulston Historic. Do I respond to that, or do you want me to wait?
No, you may respond, please.
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit of a, the way the ordinance is written, in section 15.3, when you look at the length for which a hardship variance can be granted under the ordinance, it's for a period of 1 year with the right to request extensions or the ability to request an extension. And so this was just, I think from a technical perspective, we wanted to make sure that we were keeping the variance in place. And I understand that it's a little bit quirky in that there was a 2-year term granted, and we're here asking for something that's an extension that is inside that 2-year term, but it is purely just to sort of follow, I think, the niceties of the ordinance and what the ordinance allows for an initial duration of a variance, if that makes sense. So it's technical, and I agree it's sort of quirky to ask for this, but I think it, under the way the ordinance is written, it is probably the correct thing to do procedurally.
Okay, thank you.
All set with that, Elaine? Does that satisfy your question?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't have any questions either. I was concerned about the extension, but then I thought maybe you thought you might need it at the other end with the way everything's going these days in this world of ours. So I don't have an issue with it, and falls under the category to me, better safe than sorry. So if the rest of the board's all in agreement, I'd like the clerk to please make a motion for this case.
Madam Chair, I just had a question for staff. Can the motion simply be to approve the applicant's request to extend the validity of the previously approved variance? We don't need to get into what the extension is.
This is Charlotte speaking. Yes, that motion is fine.
Great. So Madam Chair, I move that we approve the applicant's request to extend the validity of a previously approved hardship variance.
Second.
Seconded by Elaine Severino. All in favor, I'll go around. Josh Safdie,
Aye.
Catherine Garavaglia,
Aye.
Elaine Severino,
Aye.
and Ursula Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show it was unanimous, all 4 members voting in the affirmative. Thank you, gentlemen, and good luck.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Have a good evening.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is 494 Medford Street. Again, this is a new case. While the applicants are getting ready, I'd like to ask our clerk to open the case, please. Mr. Safdie?
Madam Chair, this is 494 Medford Street, case number P&Z 21-082. James Rissling seeks a hardship variance to construct a principal building on a lot which is too narrow.
Thank you. Good
Madam
evening,
Chair.
494, yes?
This is Charlotte speaking. I am unmuting Edward Bernazzini, I think.
Bernazzani. That's fine.
Bernazzani, thank you.
It's fine, thank you.
And James Rissling of the applicant team.
Thank you, Charlotte. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi.
So talk to us. Tell us what you want to do. Hello?
Hi, I hope Jim is there because he's doing all the talking.
This is Charlotte speaking. James Rissling is
Yeah.
unmuted. It looks like he's muted on his end. So James, if
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay, there you got it.
Sorry, I was muted. I was
Yay.
muted.
There we go.
Yes, I'm gonna switch headphones because I've got babies crying in the background. Um, we are seeking to redevelop the site at 494 Medford Street, the corner of Trull and Medford Street. That site is currently in an MR4, or more currently in a MR4 zone. It currently has a two-family residence on it. We'd like to maintain the residence but add commercial space in a new general building. And in order to do any development on the site, we need to seek relief for the depth of the site. It's one of maybe 2 or 3 sites in this area of an MR4 district that are undersized for the district dimensionally.
Okay. And why is it, it's created a hardship for you to do this?
Without this variance, we cannot develop the building. The only possibility would be to repair the existing house. And the house is non-conforming to the zoning in use. And so I guess the hardship is we're ready to do a design that meets all the zoning parameters, but we cannot do it because the lot is insufficient in depth.
Do you think maybe you're a little big for the lot? Your property development's a little large for the lot?
No, I think the size of the lot is, the depth of the lot is, it's small. It's not that small.
Yeah.
We are at 23 feet 8 inches, or 23.8 feet. And the requirement is 30 feet. The lot is sort of a rhomboid, so it's narrower on one end than it is at the other. It becomes 32 foot, 10 feet deep at the opposite lot line. So for half the lot, it's conforming.
Okay.
But also to answer your question, we could not do any development of any kind other than repair to the building based on the current zoning. So even if we want to downsize the building, we would not be allowed to do a principal building given this lot issue.
Great. I'd like to open this up now to the public. If there's anyone out there that'd like to speak to it or for it. We haven't heard from anyone yet, nor the alderman, or the counselor, I should say. So is there anyone out there, Charlotte?
This is Charlotte speaking. Just like with the last case, if you wish to submit public comment on this case, the way that you indicate that you wish to speak is by raising your hand, and then we can unmute you. I see Ro Katoch. I'm really bad with names, I'm sorry. You're unmuted. If you can unmute yourself, you can speak directly to the board.
Good evening, everybody at the board and Charlotte. So just on the 494, I just want to know the depth, what they're considering as 32 feet is not including my easement. I want to be sure on that, because that easement cannot be used as per for any other. So I just want to know how far the depth is that they're talking about. Depth should include my easement of 8 feet.
Yes, I understand. The easement is respected in the design. The lot metrics do measure the lot lines, and I've never been instructed that we would have to deduct a passage easement from a lot. We are not building on the lot. The lot will, the easement will remain available and open as it is supposed to be.
So you're not going back to the parking where you have your parking. You're not going back there, right? You're not using that portion as what you're trying to say, or you're going to extend the building towards the parking,
No,
right?
the building will not extend into the easement.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So
In fact, that is selected as our rear lot line. So we are meeting the rear lot setback, and the building actually steps back as it goes up from that lot line.
so that's what is your setback will be from
Yes.
the easement. Okay.
Yeah.
And how many parking will be showing at this location?
There's two parking spaces.
Two parking.
And they're internal to a garage.
Oh, okay.
Can
All
I,
right.
just 1 second, don't go away. This gentleman that was speaking, I didn't get your full name, sir. Could you speak nice and slow for me?
My name,
Yes.
Rahul Katoch. I'm the owner of 496 and 498 500 Medford Street.
496 and 498, what street?
Medford Street, 500 Medford.
Street. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So you're right next door.
Yes.
Okay, good. And is there anybody else? Thank you so much for coming out tonight, sir, and asking us your questions.
Thank you. No problem.
Anyone else, please?
Madam Chair, I am not seeing anyone else indicating that they wish to speak on 494 Medford Street.
Okay. Could we have our last speaker mute himself, please?
Mute myself.
Okay. Now, there's nobody else, so I'm going to close the public portion of the open meeting for the public and open it to the board for their questions and comments. Does anybody here have some questions they have to pose?
This is Elaine. I have a question or something I'd like to mention.
Sure, go ahead, please, Elaine Severino.
The present speaker, I just wanted to clear it up for the fellow gentleman who just spoke, who is a direct abutter. It was clear that the building is not going into the easement, which of course it can't. But the building will be going back into that now vacant, empty parking lot, because they're going to extend the building back in order to make those two inside garages. And I just wanted to make sure that that's true. That's what I think is true. And I just got the feeling that the direct abutter who just spoke was under the impression that nothing would change in that back open parking lot. But I just wanted to clear that up, that yes, the building is going deeper into the lot to be able to fit those parking spaces. I spent a lot of time looking at this from different angles, from Medford Street, from Troll Street. I know we have, the only thing in front of us is the width, the variance for the width, I believe, the hardship variance for the width. And I think it was mentioned earlier that there was a hardship variance. Somebody spoke about the depth. So I just wanted to mention that I think we're looking for the hardship variance for the width of the property. Also, just in standing there and looking at the plans, and I know the design is not in our purview. I'm still having a hard time getting used to that under the new zoning. It just looks to me like this building is just overrunning that corner. I just feel like it's sort of a peanut on a watermelon here. I know he can go that height, but it just doesn't look to me like it fits there, it belongs there, and I guess those are my comments.
Thank you, Elaine. You know what I was wondering if we could see on the, I mean, I ran off my copies of the packet with the design. I think I want to see two slides, if I could, from the applicant to follow up on this gentleman coming and asking about the parking in the back and the easement and the, you know, that stuff. So I think just Z01, and then I want to jump over to one that might show how the parking specifically is, that you know what would be best. Is that something you could do?
This is Charlotte speaking. I have made James Reisling the presenter so that he should now be able to share his screen and show the plans that you requested.
Thank you. Mr. Riesling? Can you hear us?
I
Charlotte?
can't, yes, I can hear you. I need to get to the files.
Okay. As long as we know you're hearing us and all that
Yeah,
jazz.
I guess I wasn't sure of
Wait a
the
minute.
protocol. In some cases, the board limits the files, and I wasn't prepared. I apologize.
Yeah. No, we don't limit anything that can help us make a decision. We pretend we're right up at City Hall in the chambers. Look at all the pretty pictures and all the hard work you guys have done.
Okay. Let's go pull up the packet.
Yeah. I'm kind of, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I kind of backing up Elaine on this a little bit. I'm not like, I know it's not our purview, but it's right on a corner and I wish it was brighter and more lively looking. It's big, but I guess that's your right to go to the 4 and all that jazz. But I wish we could get a brighter, more residential look going there, even though it's a mixed use area.
Okay. I apologize. Okay, so Z01.
How are those? What you're doing? They okay? What you doing?
Are you seeing it?
Oh, no. The clams. What? I thought so. Yeah. Okay.
Dang.
If you can pull up anything with the pictures, the graphics, that would help at least if you could point out and explain it. Doesn't have to be specifically to that one.
Yeah, I have it, but I don't know how to get it onto your panel.
Like I'm looking at one now, A1.1 is a great one to look at.
Okay, I've got it.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm sorry, I do not mean to waste anyone's time. Here we go. Can you see this?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
this is the existing building footprint.
Yeah.
The 8-foot easement is hatched in blue at what we've identified as the rear of the site.
Yeah.
I mistakenly spoke about depth because I'm so used to looking at this from Troll Street. But it's actually, the issue is width. So Elaine is correct, the issue is width. And then in our proposed plan, the easement still is in blue, and it's paved and available, left open. There's a little tab of landscape that comes up to that easement, but that's the 8-foot easement.
Great,
And then there's an apron for the cars to maneuver to get into the garage.
great.
So this would actually, there's actually a double curb cut here, and then a single curb cut here, and it would eliminate that single curb cut. And all the parking would be organized in the building.
Now, that gentleman that just spoke in the back beside you, where we're talking about the width, where do you know, can you point out at all with a mark or anything where you think his property is? Oh, let's jump over to, yeah, right there.
Well,
Where's
this
property?
corner up here,
Yeah,
and then I believe he has purchased the house next door
yeah,
to gain
Okay.
that, which that easement serves only that house.
this easement that you're showing us serves his house at the 496. Okay,
Yep,
Okay.
this one at the top of the page there.
yeah. Now what happens,
And there's
push back a little bit, make it smaller. What's happening with 72 and 74 12th Street? That's their property, they're all grassed around, it just abuts yours?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, all right. And
Right.
flip over, does anybody else want to see this slide any longer? No? Can we go to A 1.1? Beautiful, that's it, great. This really tells the whole picture right there. And can you make it a little smaller? We can see up the second floor. This is showing us the first floor. Make it a little
This
smaller.
is the basement,
There you go.
basement
Oh, basement
first,
first.
and the second floor is here.
Okay,
It's
okay.
two 3-bedroom units.
Wow. Okay. I'll open it up to the rest of the board. You have questions? We have some comments from the board, please. Catherine, I'm sorry. Catherine Garavaglia, what do you
Thanks,
have?
Madam Chair. If we could go back to the first drawing that shows the building as it is now and the two easement areas. The easement that is going to be on the left side towards 72 to 74 12th Street. What is that easement for?
Sorry, I muted out of courtesy.
Thank you.
That easement is to access that house next door, which is also, you see at the top of the page is their fence line, and
Okay.
then that continues, their property line continues to Medford Street. That 8-foot axis is access to that yard.
Okay, so it's access to the yard at Medford Street.
No, for the neighboring house only
On Medford Street.
on Medford Street,
On
yes.
Medford Street, not
Yep.
not the Troll Street abutter. Okay.
No.
No, no, it is
and
not,
then
no.
Can you
Oops,
just
sorry.
clarify for me, is the footprint of the building extending out towards the Troll Street properties, or is it staying the same? And how much are you pushing?
It is extending. If you see these
Okay.
red lines are setbacks.
Okay.
So in this zone, even though it's adjacent to a neighborhood residential, it has a 10-foot rear setback. And then at the 4th floor, it has a 40 or 30-foot setback.
Okay.
And this is the existing condition. So, you know, it's existing as well out of that.
Thank you.
Mr. Safdie, you have any questions?
I agree with your comment, Susan, and with Elaine's, that given what's built along Medford Street now, it seems large and out of place. And we've had this conversation a couple times. We had we had one project on Somerville Ave where we had the same kind of issue. I mean, when a neighborhood gets rezoned like this, I guess the theory is that, we've got all these one-story commercial buildings all up Medford Street, all the way to Magoon Saloon and CVS. And the idea is that, someone's got to be the first one. And it looks like Mr. Rissling is hoping to be it. So I agree, it looks a little bit out of place in the renderings. But I don't know that I'm comfortable, opposing the project based on that, because I understand that, it's a conforming building for the district in which it's been rezoned.
No, I agree with you. I could talk with you about that. I agree that it's new. And like you said, the first kid on the block is always going to be under great scrutiny. I also feel that when you're the new kid on the block, you want to be special. You want to kind of set the the mood and set the neighborhood. And I mean, it's harder learning when we get these cases right away because of the variance, and we don't get to put our 2 cents really doesn't matter on some of the other points of interest. But I do agree, and with the neighbor buying the next 2 properties, who knows what he's going to do. But it's just all right. Catherine?
I don't know if this helps the other members of the board, but I did go walk the area a little bit over the weekend, and there's a very similar setup to what's being proposed almost directly across the street, with commercial and then 2 stories of apartments. So I feel like there's already some things in the neighborhood like this.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just a more modern looking version of things that are already there.
I don't think it's modern looking at all. I think it's like a tenement. I mean, it doesn't yell out to me prosperity or new or, I want to live there. And I'm sorry, it's just a design thing. And I know I'm speaking out of turn and I do apologize. But to look forward to like a row of these buildings doesn't do it for me. Unless the rendition isn't speaking true to form, because then when I look at some of the other little things in the front with the doors open and all that stuff, it looks nicer. But that's just my 2 cents. So unless anybody else has any comments of looking at these papers here now, that we have to justify the variance. And I'm looking at the maybe Sarah White can help us with this more technical stuff. Sarah, can you chime in, please? I see that Mr. Resling sent you the document, and it shows his narrative, so to speak.
Correct, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Help us out with this a little.
Sure. Give me a little guidance. How can I help you? What would you like to know?
Well, you got it and you read it, and I know you're a person behind the scenes on a lot of this stuff. I guess I should be asking the board as well, with Sarah here on board with us. Do we have any questions for her? Or are we happy with this dissertation and these reasons? Are we pleased? We feel it justifies the variance? Elaine, are you there?
I am still here. I just for a moment step back. I did agree with Catherine about modern. I thought it was ultra modern, sleek, naked, and ugly. And I know Catherine commented on some stuff across the street. I also walked to, fro, around, up, down, and I think the things across the street appear to fit in a little bit better because they're on a hill. They're higher anyway. This building is down lower than the people across the street, so they kind of got a head start because they're on a hill. Yeah, I know that none of that is in our purview. You know, sleek, modern, naked, and ugly. I'm not voting on tonight. So
Right, I know. Well, are we ready to vote? Do you folks all agree with their report? Yeah, Catherine? Elaine? Good. All right, well, thank you, Sarah. Sorry to bother you. So, Mr. Safdie, would like to go forward and make a motion that we can vote on with the narrative. I think at this time, I just want to comment for the record that it seems like the board is appreciative of all the reports that were handed to us from the staff, their staff report, as well as the documents that the applicant, Mr. Resling, has sent us, and their plans and the comments on the setback and the width as well. So we're happy with everything that was presented. It was very thorough. And then I'd ask our clerk, Mr. Safdie, to go forward and to make a presentation for the variance approval. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, I'll give this a shot. Following public testimony, which there was some, sorry. Following public testimony, review of the submitted materials, and upon deliberating and finding that all criteria required for issuing a hardship variance as required by the Somerville zoning ordinance have been satisfied, I make a motion to approve the applicant's request for a hardship variance to construct a principal building on a lot which is too narrow.
I'd like to also add to that specifically the document that was sent to Sarah White and the zoning case review planner for Ward 5 from LR Designs, that they list out each area for the requirement for the variance. We are in concurrence with that and agree with it. So may I please have a second from Elaine Severino or Catherine?
second.
Seconded by Elaine Severino. All in favor of the approval for the variance at 494 Medford Street. That's P and Z 21-082. Please say aye as we go around. Josh Safdie,
Aye.
Catherine Garavaglia,
Aye.
Elaine Severino,
Aye.
and Ursula Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show we had 4 people tonight, which did create the quorum required, and it was all in approval. It passes 100%. Thank you, folks, and good luck with your project.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Okay, so now we move on to some other business here tonight. It's the presentation from Brick Bottom. Hello, folks.
Madam
Charlotte?
Chair, give me one moment. Amanda Keefe is unmuted. Amanda, are you the one that I should be making the presenter?
No, if you don't mind, if you could make Kristen Brzezowski the presenter. I mean, unmute Kristen, and actually if you could unmute Julie Janiski as well, that would be great.
Kristen is now the presenter and Julie Janiski is unmuted.
Great, thank you. Good evening. Are we ready to jump in, Charlotte?
No, do we do anything for the record, Charlotte? It's other business, they're making a presentation. Do we have to do anything for the record?
No, you have, I would call specifically which item of other business you are talking about, but you don't need to open it for the record. You can just reference the presentation for 28 Chestnut or the presentation for 28 Fitchburg. That's sufficient.
Great. Josh, would you please handle that?
Yes. Sorry, I'm working off of one small screen tonight, so I have to. And so I'm sorry, which, I guess it's the same applicant for both, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Doesn't matter, no.
Okay, so then we'll begin with a presentation from Brick Bottom 1 QOZBLP on the findings of a feasibility assessment for using hybrid and all-electric building systems and the resulting design decisions made for 28 Chestnut Street.
Thank you. Kristen?
Yes, I am working on getting the right screen showing, so I will do that momentarily.
All right.
I'll kick things off briefly. My name is Amanda Keefe, and I'm here on behalf of the Brick Bottom 1 QOZB LP team that is developing the sites at 28 Fitchburg and 28 Chestnut. Planning and zoning cases 21007 and 21006 respectively, both in the Brick Bottom neighborhood. As you may recall, the team was before you this summer seeking site plan approval for the project, and as of right development that will feature a combination of office lab and a bit of ground floor retail as well.
Thank you, Amanda.
It's beautiful.
Is everyone able to see the right screen now?
Yes, Kristen,
Yeah.
we can.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Amanda, thanks, Kristen. So my name is Julie Janeski. I'm a partner at Bureau Happold Engineering. We are working with Amanda and the rest of the project team on this project as the mechanical engineer, in addition to a number of other roles. Tonight, our role is relevant on the mechanical engineering side. As part of the sustainability permitting process, we were asked to make a presentation to describe how this building has evaluated its ability to be either all electric or all electric ready. We're happy to make this presentation to show you how, in fact, the project team is moving forward with an all electric ready solution to support the carbon neutrality goals that the city of Somerville has. So on the next slide, a brief overview with an attempt at making it as simple as possible of the way that the system was designed earlier in the design process at design development, with a chilled water system by chillers and cooling towers, and a heating hot water system via condensing gas boilers. At the 100% CD mark, the building has been converted to all electric ready. And the key component to that design strategy is to replace one of the centrifugal chillers with a heat pump chiller that provides the ability to work in heat recovery mode. It also means that the size of the equipment that should be replaced later in the building's life to be all electric will be smaller and more manageable, i.e. air source heat pumps and the boilers themselves. On the next slide, as part of the study that we did with the project team on this topic, we evaluated it from a number of different variables. First and foremost, greenhouse gas emissions, to be able to show what the annual reduction would be by shifting from the design development version of the strategy to the 100% CD version of the strategy. You'll see that the reduction is actually a small increase depending on which greenhouse gas factors you use, which is always going to be a complication of these metrics. But what you'll also see is that it's essentially right on the border of being able to show that an all electric or all electric ready solution, given the greenhouse gas emissions factors of the electrical grid today, is right on the sort of border of being able to make that decision, know that it's actually going to reduce the carbon footprint of the project. Moving forward, as the electrical grid gets cleaner, that those reductions will go up even more. On the operational energy side, we evaluated those two scenarios between design development and construction documents to show the reduction in energy, in addition to the slight increase on the side of energy cost. This, in addition to the slight increase on capital cost, was something that was closely evaluated with the entire project team, including the owner. On the next slide, we shifted from energy into greenhouse gas emissions for the whole building, and not just looking at it in terms of the greenhouse gas factors today, 2020, but also using the predicted greenhouse gas factors for the electrical grid in Massachusetts in 2030 and 2050 to be able to show ultimately the reductions feasible by having this all electric ready building. And this does not yet assume that the systems would actually switch over to be all electric. In that case, it would be 100% carbon neutral at 2050. With that, we've got a few additional slides on some of the key technical aspects that support this system strategy, and I'll hand it over to my colleague Kristen to walk us through those.
Great, thank you so much, Julie. So one of the key pieces we wanted to explain real quick was explaining how when electricity costs 5 times as much as natural gas, why the electricity, the all electric or the all electric ready scenario does not cost 5 times as much on the gas or on the heating side. And the main component that leads to that is the efficiency of a heat pump chiller, which is one of the main pieces of equipment providing heating. The efficiency of a heat pump chiller is much greater than that of electric resistance boiler. So if you were to compare a gas-fired condensing boiler to an electric resistance boiler, that is where you would see the 5 times more expensive heat. Because of the efficiency of the heat pump chiller, that cost really does show a fairly significant decrease from that electric resistance, but still a slight penalty from the condensing boiler per unit of heat generated. The heat pump chiller is also fairly efficient in that it's able to have some integral heat recovery properties. So specifically in the simultaneous heating and cooling mode, such as when the building would be in the shoulder season, the efficiency of the unit does increase exceptionally to about a COP of 6, which is very high performance heating capabilities or heating efficiencies. How we show this even more analytically, just a quick touch on this, is that whenever you see purple on this chart, that is when there is heat recovery generating the primary heating. So there is a significant amount of energy recovery actually happening within the unit. So the modular capacity of the unit is able to share heat from spaces in the building. Most notably in the shoulder seasons as well as in the summer. The other factor we wanted to look at was specific to the greenhouse gas emissions. So how are we impacting the actual, or what greenhouse gas what are the greenhouse gas factors of electricity versus natural gas, as well as how does the equipment efficiency compare on a greenhouse gas perspective. So as you can see on this chart to the right, we are seeing pretty significant strides on the electricity grid historically. This is specifically from Boston, but is representative of New England as a whole. What you'll see is the natural gas in red is a constant bar, whereas electricity is decreasing on a fairly consistent over time linear decrease. So what the expectation is that grid is going to continue to decrease. So transitioning to electricity as your heat source will be beneficial over time, similar to what Julie was explaining earlier. The other concept that we've been exploring significantly is how the efficiency of the heat pump really does show a decrease in greenhouse gas emissions today, which is something Julie also alluded to earlier. So per unit of heat generated, a heat pump is really able to show a decrease in greenhouse gas emissions today, and that only gets better over time. Similarly to the cost component, if we were to swap an electric resistance boiler for the condensing boiler, the greenhouse gas emissions would nearly double. And that concludes our presentation.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions they wanted to ask the team? No? Should we go forward with 28 Fitchburg? Yes, someone speak.
Madam
Hello,
Chair,
Christine.
Christine. Christine, we can't hear you. If you want to speak up or plug in headphones, maybe. As a last option, if you go under the audio tab, you can switch to calling in on a phone, and that will sometimes fix any technical problems that the computer is having.
Sorry.
If you
We can
speak up
hear
when
you,
they
but you're very soft. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, speak up, but yet to there. Say it again. Hello?
No,
Can you hear me
we
now?
can't hear you. Oh, now we can hear you? Say something?
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Yes, it is very quiet.
Speak
I'm
up,
so
please.
sorry.
And
I'm going to talk loud.
hold on. Christine, for the record, I'd like you to speak up a little more and give your name and to whom you, what you do for everybody to know. Go
Sure.
ahead.
Hi, I'm Christine Blaze. I am the Acting Director and Climate Change Program Manager for the Office of Sustainability and Environment. I just wanted to thank the team of 100 Chestnut for providing this presentation. It's really interesting, and I know that my predecessors had connected with the team on wanting to do an all-electric, or at least an all-electric ready design. And yeah, I think that the one question that they had, and I wasn't sure if it was, you know, answered in the presentation, was how feasible a transition to an all-electric building would be from the kind of the building that's using like natural gas and things at this point, or what will be using natural gas. Is that a feasible transition?
Christine, this is Julie. I'd like to go ahead and try to answer that question. And thank you for it. We did have a good conversation with Hannah when we first started this project, and before we were able to evaluate in detail the ability to shift to all electric, which we're very excited about, or all electric ready, which we're very excited about. There are a couple of different variables that we considered when trying to understand what the best version of quote all electric ready is for this building. It's not a definition that's applicable to all buildings. It is going to be project specific. So for this project, for this location, for these greenhouse gas emissions factors, two of the variables that we looked at were, number one, the size of the equipment and the ability to be able to move equipment in and out of the building without needing to go down the route of expensive craning or other types of maintenance requirements. And number two, the ability of the building to maintain its backup power solution and or its resiliency mechanism. On the first factor, in terms of the size of the equipment, a heat pump chiller or a centrifugal chiller is quite large. It would be an enormous amount of work to swap that out later. So that is the key component to calling this an all-electric ready solution. The gas-fired condensing boilers could be swapped out for electric boilers relatively easily. The footprint is nearly identical, and the space in the penthouse has been planned accordingly to allow that to happen. In addition to the feasibility of electric boilers, we would also be looking at adding air source heat pumps. Again, those units are relatively small. They can be moved around in elevators, and there is space on the rooftop, again, planned for to be able to accommodate that in the future. On the side of resiliency. There are a number of different ways that we've been studying having all electric buildings in cold climates, particularly labs in Boston, as a pretty difficult scenario to have all electric. One of the key factors is on the backup power question. We can either upsize the fossil fuel generator to be quite a bit larger once heating is on electricity, or we can maintain a couple of gas boilers and maintain a fossil fuel generator that's more typical size for other buildings. Christine, can you still hear us?
We
It
can.
looks like you might have. She's starting to make a face.
Good.
Okay, you can. Great. So the long story short, the two solutions that we've been looking at for many projects, including this one for resiliency, is to either upsize the generator or maintain gas-fired boilers. In either scenario, large-scale batteries are not at the place they need to be in the market to reliably be a backup source of power. So fossil fuels are still pretty critical for maintaining backup power. And in that case, the project would have the ability to choose either an upsize generator, which would be a significant infrastructural change and take a lot of work to make that happen, or maintain a number of the condensing gas boilers in place to partner essentially with the fossil fuel generator and not have to go down the road of, again, craning and working on a massive piece of equipment like the generator on the rooftop. I hope that answers the question. And our colleague, Justin Mole, who's our lead mechanical engineer on the project, is also on the line. So if we do want to continue to dig into the details, we can ask him to add in as well.
Thank
All
you.
set, Christine? All set?
Yeah,
Thank you. May any of the board have anything they'd like to say right now? Questions or comments? Seeing and hearing no signaling. We'd like to move on then, and we're going to move on to the second presentation.
Madam Chair,
Hello.
again, a quick point of clarification that these two, excuse me, these two projects for 28 Fitchburg and 28 Chestnut are technically two separate planning and zoning cases when we brought them forward to the board for site plan approval this summer. We've since pursued a lot consolidation, and the project has been combined into one, which is the 100 Chestnut presentation you saw just now. So the two lots are now combined into one. So we can certainly, if we need to from a technical perspective, run through the presentation technically for the second site, but it's the exact same thing for the project for 100, for what is now 100 Chestnut.
All right. What are you saying about the number at Chestnut?
The
28 Chestnut and 28 Fitchburg.
Have
Now you're
now
saying
been,
it consolidated. So is it one address now?
it is that we just recently underwent a lot
I get
consolidation.
that, but what's the number?
It is now 100 Chestnut.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
We're just going over that so quickly, we couldn't. The sounds sometimes not so great at these meetings. All right, so just for the record, without bothering the clerk with this, under our other business tonight, the presentation that we just heard from the Brick Bottom, and we will say the numbers again for the record, 28 Chestnut, 28 Fitchburg have now been consolidated to the address to read in the future as 100 Chestnut. So I thank you folks, the team here, for your presentation. It's a lot of new stuff. We're all learning, and in these times, we're all trying to cut back on the fossils, so you got to have some vision for the future. I thank you for the presentation and look forward to seeing what's happening down the road. Does anybody on the board, Elaine or Josh or Catherine, have anything they'd like to add? No?
No.
Okay, so thank you, team.
Great, thank you.
Good luck. Look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you.
good night. And if there's any other business, Charlotte, any other business out there? Or does the board have anybody, any board member have a comment they'd like to make? Seeing and hearing none, then I'll ask the clerk for the conclusion of motion to close the meeting.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Seconded by Elaine Severino. All in favor, as I go around the board here, Josh Safdie,
Aye.
Catherine Garavaglia,
Aye.
Elaine Severino,
Aye.
and Ursula Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show it's 100%. And it was a good meeting. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.